Late today, the U.S. Justice Department launched an investigation into the city of Chicago and its hiring practices.
It centers on whether discrimination is at play inside City Hall, given the large number of, quote, black officials the DOJ says have been hired by the Johnson administration. CBS News Chicago political reporter Chris Ty joins us now to sort out what we know at this point.
Joe and Erica, in Department of Justice terms, this is lightning fast reaction to comments made yesterday by Mayor Johnson at a church in Woodlawn. He was talking about the number of black officials in his administration. Here was the comment that set this all in motion.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development is a black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief operations officer is a black man. Budget director is a black woman. Senior advisor is a black man. And I'm laying that out because when you ask how do we ensure that our people get a chance to grow their business, having people in my administration that will look out for the interest of everyone, and everyone means you have to look out for the interests of black folks.
The Justice Department citing that exact moment in this letter to
you gotta put this, you gotta look at this the other way around, as if this was a Chinese person or a black person saying it. It's a form of discrimination.
Mayor Johnson today saying,
sounds like a form of discrimination, the way he says it.
If these kind of hiring decisions are being made for top-level positions in your administration, then it begs the question whether such decisions are also being made for lower-level positions. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prevents employment discrimination, but there are major exceptions, including hiring at places of worship and political appointments, like Johnson's senior staff that he listed Sunday.
They would not be considered employees under Title VII. So even if it were true that he was going out of his way to hire people of a particular race, that would not violate the law.
Carolyn Shapiro from the Chicago Kent College of Law says the DOJ assumption that since Johnson's senior staff is mostly black, that there's discrimination at play is a leap.
It's an enormous leap to say that because Brandon Johnson's top deputies and policymaking positions are African American, that the city is discriminating on the basis of race in its hiring of ordinary non-policymaking employees.
Our people hire our people.
Mayor Johnson, who's been called to Capitol Hill by conservative legislators angry over Chicago's sanctuary city status, has been a repeated target of the Trump White House. Johnson has himself compared Trump policies to terrorism. Late today, his team saying Mayor Johnson is proud to have the most diverse administration in the history of our city. Our administration reflects the diversity and values of Chicago. Unfortunately, the current federal administration does not reflect either.
I guess before we get into this pie chart, that's not true. I mean, Trump does have people that are black that work for him. He even has, and I know when I say this, people are probably going to say, oh, that's the best you can think of at the moment. He even has a pardon czar who was, Biden didn't pardon her. She was trying to get pardoned, and Trump got her out of jail, and she's the pardon czar. It's a black woman, and now she's a part of Trump's First Step program, I believe it is, and presenting reports of people that should be pardoned and how we can get them on track. So Trump's hired her, but they don't talk about that. I think his HUD secretary, I think he's black, right? Whatever. Anyways, it shouldn't be about black and black, but I mean, come on now. At the end of the day, results matter. And the budget is a problem in Chicago. So did he say somebody that's over his financial department? I don't care if he's black, white, purple, or brown. First of all, they need to know how to handle the migrant crisis and get rid of it and get out of a deficit. I don't think any of the people of Chicago care if they're black, white, or anything. They just want to make sure that they are not getting hit with higher property taxes, which was their main concern, it sounds like. And also that they're not also being, the migrants are being prioritized and incentivized. Let's continue. Let's see, 2025 mayor's So this is probably the pie chart of how he's got people.
Late today, the mayor's team offered this racial makeup of his 105 employee staff. 34% are black, 30% white, 23% Hispanic, 7% Asian, 5% two or more ethnicities. The DOJ, by the way, is asking the mayor to reach out to continue the investigation and provide materials as they ask for it. And of course, we'll be following it every step.
Okay, so how do I feel about this story? Well, listen, I've kind of said this before. You want to hire people that are qualified. It doesn't matter if they're black or white, man or woman. You just want to hire people that know how to do the job and that have experience doing the job when you're running a city, a state, or a country, and even your own business. So this reminds me of the people that say, hey, you need to support a black-owned business. And I'm like, well, why? Because it's black-owned. Well, what product do they offer? Like, how good is their product? Oh, man, come on, man. You got to support a brother. What? I just want to make sure this is a good product. So, it kind of reminds me of that with Brandon Johnson, where he's like, oh, I got black this, black that. And I'm sure that the question was framed to give him a little bit of leeway. I'm sure the question was probably framed in a way of like, how are you going to help the black community, or how do you help the black community? And then he said, hey, I got a black this, black that. But, none of that matters, bro. Like, people want results. They just want results. And then, of course, we want to play the racist card and say, oh, Donald Trump he doesn't hire diverse people. Well, that's a lie, because he's got women that work for him. Susie Wilds is like, isn't she like, I just lost her freaking title, but he's got her, press secretary, of course, but he's got black people that work for him as well. He's even got a gay person working for him. And I find this funny because no one talks about Scott Bessent. I just found out that Scott Bessent was gay. Not that it matters, but, they try to make it seem like Trump was against all of these people. But Trump was not against Scott Bessent. He puts a lot of faith in him, and he's an openly gay man because he knows his stuff. And so, again, it doesn't matter whether you're gay, whether you're black, white, woman, or man. All people mostly care about are you going to get the job done and deliver results for what it is that you've been hired for? I don't care that they're all black. I don't. Right? I don't care. So let me hear one more time about everything and all the black people that he's got, because he's got a failing budget that the city is now going to feel.
As a black woman
that set this all in motion.
The deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development.
Department of Planning and Development. That would be pretty important for a budget, right? So we need to hold her accountable.
A black woman. Infrastructure deputy mayor is a black woman. Chief Operations Officer is
very, very important. We need to be figuring out what's going on with her. What's going on, my man Ortiz? What's going on with her? Chief of Staff. There you go. Yes, Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff. First woman, I believe, too. Yeah, so we need to hold this person to a high standard. What's going on with that? Let's do an audit on what she's doing, because the budget is a problem.
Is a black man. Budget director is a black woman.
Budget director, make your way to the very front of the room, because we got a lot of questions about the budget in Chicago. We got so many questions about the budget in Chicago that it's in a deficit. We need to ask some real hard questions. Black woman that's running the budget in Chicago. In fact, I don't care if you are a woman. I don't care if you are a man. I bet you there's a lot of residents in Chicago that got questions about the budget. And they have so many questions about the budget that they could hold probably an all-day meeting, because they want questions on where money is going and why money is not being sent to citizens to further them instead of furthering migrants. Why they're not going to school programs to make schooling better and keep kids safe. Why the budget may not be going to police officers and firefighters and public services, but we're funding migrants just to be able to sleep on the side of the police station and the side of Chicago O'Hare Airport, and then they can get an EBT card with a bunch of money on it. That's a problem. Hey, is part of the budget going to sanctuary cities? Since Chicago wants to deem themselves the sanctuary cities, is that budget also going to there? Because that can definitely be cut and go somewhere else. However, I would not feel comfortable as a Chicago resident that they're going to do the right things with the money, even if they weren't paying for that, because they're in a deficit. If I'm not mistaken, and I will give credit to the content creator that actually came up with this, and Anton Daniels had covered a story that Chicago streets are not even owned by Chicago. Some of the streets are owned by people in Dubai or companies in Dubai. I said, they don't even own some of their own streets? I said, yo, this is a problem. That is Mayor Brandon Johnson, y'all. Mayor Brandon Johnson is a complete buffoon. This man has nothing but word salad. He says a whole bunch of words that mean absolutely nothing, and he doesn't answer the question, and all people want is a straightforward person. You know what people want? They want a Donald Trump. They want a Donald Trump. They want someone who's going to keep it funky fresh and tell them the truth about what the hell is going on, whether they like it or not. They do not want you to give me a bunch of word salad. Dude gets on the mic and he says a bunch of crazy words that I have heard maybe once in my life in middle school, high school, and they never heard the word again because it's not important. He pulls them out of somewhere. I'm like, this guy's worse than listening to T.I. speak. But Brandon Johnson is also the product of what happens when you just want to hire somebody black. That's what happens. You just hire somebody black because you don't want someone white, but you hire this guy who's not qualified, who was a teacher. That was his qualifications. He was a teacher. So now you got a teacher being the mayor of a city, and you're wondering why it's being ran like an idiot. And the only thing good about this guy is the fact that he has good grammar because he's a teacher. Mayor Brandon Johnson, great grammar, good teacher, bad principles, bad money management, loves the migrants, but he's a teacher and he's a black man, and y'all wanted him and y'all got him, and now y'all want to get rid of him. Y'all talking about y'all threatening to turn Chicago red. But sometimes, in defense, this is what we need as black folks, right? Because we got black fatigue out here. Yes, we talked about black fatigue on my podcast before. We have black fatigue. And sometimes we need to learn to not just hire people because they black. I learned this lesson very up close and personal when I was flipping houses. And I was looking for a black-owned person. I wanted somebody black to fix this and black to fix that. And I had this one electrician come in. Found him on Facebook. And, looked professional on Facebook. Then he comes to the house and dude just rubbed me right the wrong way as soon as he got out the car. First of all, he got out the passenger seat. Girl was driving the car, gets out the passenger seat, comes into the house. Then he's got his pants sagging down. I'm like, what? I'm like, hey, man, I just need you to do something with this electrical box that's inside of the bathroom. It was something about like a box, an amp, it needed something. And then he goes from that to, hey, man, I could put up your cabinets. I could do this. I could do that. And then as he's talking, I'm like, I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. Then I read a story that, yeah, you hire that guy if you want to. He going to take your money. I was like, see, this is why you don't just go with black-owned people just because you want that. You have to vet people. I have black people that work for me, though. But it's just not going to be any and everybody because I want a bunch of black people around me. No, I want the right people around me. We're not just hiring people because they black. Man, black fatigue. Brandon Johnson. Let me get off this, man. Let me get off this topic.